This is episode 235 of The Illustrious Gentleman. Buckle up, Buttercup. Scott's back. He's got some wicked hot takes, I'm sure. You got your Robert Rodriguez cowboy hat in the background. If listener thought we were done talking about Spider-Mans, the ones who can't get home, they were wrong because we got another hour in store.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Man, I need to get yours set up. It looks professional. It's coming down. Can you grab that mic and tuck it, hold it like the underside of a boob like they do sometimes?
Or
is it stationary or is it on a swing arm?
No, it's on an arm.
I'm jealous. I can just hold mine like this.
Yeah, you're like the man on the street. Just hold it.
Yeah. Become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/Super75Studios. Get early versions of each episode, plus other stuff that I throw up there. Go to tigshow.com for all the stuff you need to support the podcast. We have a bunch of shirts like this one that I'm wearing that is out of print. My X-Men my X-Men names creator, my X-Men creators shirt got pulled down because I put X-Men in the title and I got pulled down for a copyright infringement. And I never uploaded it again. But a couple of weeks ago, I think it was Christmas Eve or something, I was at a Bash's getting some last minute supplies. And a dude walks by, does a double take at my shirt, and then just goes, "X-Men, man," and gives me finger guns. And I've never had anyone get this shirt. Other people have thought it's a name of composers because of Alan Silvestri. They think it's the name of music composers. But that guy got the X-Men reference. So you can get shirts, not like this shirt, but other shirts at tigshow.com/merch is what I'm trying to say. Long story long. All right.
Get yourself some finger guns at Bash's.
That's right. How you doing? Anything? What's going on? What are you watching? What are you digging? Anything? Have you had time to enjoy anything the last 2 weeks?
I watched episode 3 of Boba Fett.
I can't do it.
Yeah. Don't. I finished Haunting of Bly Manor. Which was lackluster and scattershot. Not his best effort. Sophomore slump for sure.
All right. Good old Mikey Flanagan.
What else? I guess that's it.
Yeah, I haven't been into much except being disappointed by my team. But I did notice that Righteous Gemstones fired back up, and I remember you saying you can't watch it because it's
can't do Danny McBride.
Too despicable, but it's pretty funny. The first 2 episodes are up, and they're pretty funny. Eric Roberts is in this season.
America's Sweetheart.
Yeah, but it's the same old shit. It's just being funny. And then other than that, there's 1 episode of The Expanse left, and then it's donezo unless they get a movie.
Is there a fan movement? Is there a hashtag?
Well, I don't think that because there's another book coming out. I don't think they've covered everything that's in the books. And so I think people think that there's stories to tell. And so why not? So I'm excited and kind of bummed about the final episode. But then also once I'm done with watching the show, I'm going to start listening to the audiobooks, I think. So there's 8 or 9 audiobooks. So that'll at least give me something to do.
Yeah. Are you able to do that and do other things? Is that a background noise thing for you, audiobooks, or do you have to sit down with it like an actual book?
No, because if I was going to sit down with it like an actual book, I would read it.
Okay.
I can do audiobooks as long as I'm not typing. So if I'm just drawing, then I can do audiobooks, podcasts, stuff like that. I can pay complete attention to it if I'm working. But if I have to send emails or if I'm researching something, sometimes I'll be researching stuff to put in an email to send to somebody, and I'll realize I haven't heard the last 20 minutes of the podcast.
Right.
So it just depends on what I'm doing. But ideally, I can get the audiobooks through the library and then just put them on and work for hours at a stretch without having to put in a new CD or find a new podcast or change the radio station because they're playing, Billy Joel for the 100th time. So that's the plan. And it's right up my alley. I've talked about this to death. Hard sci-fi.
Billy Joel.
Yeah. My love for the Piano Man knows no bounds. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything that I've really absorbed or watched in the last couple of weeks that has made a difference. I watched that Return to Hogwarts blowjob thing that HBO Max did. Yeah, that's it's kind of
better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, but a lot of it's like the Friends reunion. I
didn't watch that because I don't give a shit.
It's very it seemed very scripted. Like maybe these actors who haven't seen each other in 20 years got together, and then after they shot the shit for an hour or two, then some director was like, okay, now make it seem like you just came in and act like you haven't seen each other. It just seemed very...
I didn't get that sense. It was heavily edited, but I felt that all of the conversation was very genuine. Especially between Emma Watson and Rupert. They seemed genuinely to really enjoy each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. Her and Draco have a special bond. Or the actor who plays Draco.
Yeah.
You might know him better. Train. You might know him better from his role in The Flash. He was on the CW's The Flash.
Oh, he was just in some shit kids movie too. I don't remember what it was. It was like Goosebumps, but not. It was the poor man's Goosebumps movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah,
but it was fun. I liked it.
It was a fun time.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad way to spend an hour and a half. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I like those people.
I like them too. I wonder why. They're all probably teetering on the brink of being billionaires. They're at least multi-millionaires. And all three of the main cast have the most fucked up hair. And then throw Draco in there too. All four of their hair is just jacked. It looks like a blind person cut their hair.
You're crazy.
Rupert Grint and Draco, they've been going bald since they were 18, so I feel bad for them. Daniel Radcliffe, that's whatever.
I thought he looked great.
Yeah, he's got a Supercuts. He's got an $18 Supercuts cut. Can't complain about that. I got a free haircut tonight. Who am I to talk shit? But then Emma Watson has uneven bangs. I'm sure that's a style or something, but give me some even bangs, or no bangs. Let's get crazy and just have no bangs.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. It's like a Tuesday night in my house, no bangs.
Pump your brakes there, pal.
Yeah. Speaking of bangs, though, I saw that Zoe Deschanel, Hannah Simone, and Wilson, the actor who played Wilson, they're going to do a New Girl pot. Hannah's, what's her name? The cast of New Girl. So Zoe Deschanel, Hannah something. Cece.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so New Girl, Cece, and Wilson are going to do a podcast where it's a rewatch of episode by episode of the show.
I don't want it.
No?
I hate that stuff.
Not even for some Wilson and Cece mess around?
I don't want that. I don't want the Scrubs one. I don't want the Office Ladies or whatever one Kevin was doing of The Office. You save all that shit. I don't care.
Okay. It might be good, wholesome fun is all I'm saying. After an hour of potty mouth talking to you, I could put that on as a palate cleanser. As I go to bed.
Do that.
And maybe Zoe Deschanel will talk about her husband and I'll get some decorating tips or something. She's married to one of the Property brothers that I thought were gay, but
right.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't remember. I think I saw that on the cover of some supermarket magazine.
Yeah, handsome couple.
How they've come to get to know each other over quarantine.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
Good for them.
I stood there in the supermarket for 45 minutes reading the article.
Right. Because you're not going to spend $5.99 to buy that magazine because tabloid trash.
I wish it was $5.99.
It's like an oversized issue of Batman. All right. Oh, speaking of Batman, he was in a comic that came out this week that you drew that I colored. I talked about it on last week's show a little bit, but it came out this week. I got a copy today I didn't get my comps yet, so I got a copy on Comixology to talk about on my Patreon. Did you get paper issues? Have you seen it?
I got a notification that I was getting a box today, but I haven't checked. It could be sitting outside.
Man, I'm dying to get my mitts on one, and they're probably, you got them just sit, you don't even care.
Yeah, as much as I love you and Brian, I can't look at it.
I had to look at it today, and I was like, I started coloring it 2 months ago or something like that. But I'm like, oh, I would do this different. I would do that different. I don't think that ever changes. I don't understand guys who are like, oh, I drew this series 20 years ago and I still like a lot of it. Like, I don't get that unless you're like a Mike Mignola or Kevin Nolan or somebody. I don't think I'll ever get that.
Yeah. I don't know. I hear some people don't hate themselves.
Rumors and accusations. I just poured way too much. I'm not going to finish all that.
Sure you are.
No, especially not with no rocks in it.
Rocks.
Yeah. Speaking of things that rock, then we're both drinking some Makers, and things that rock, superhero movies, Spider-Man, Far From Home, No Way Home.
Homesick.
So you and I always say that these films just aren't made for us. While we bitch about them, we agree that they're probably not made for us, especially since it's made over $1 billion in box office. So I was thinking, instead of us just grumbling about them, let's talk about what we would have done with this opportunity. So I went off I set some rules and did mine based off some rules. I think when you read that, you said, fuck that. And then I didn't hear back from you. So I don't know you did. I don't know what you did, but I made mine using very similar parameters to get from the same start point to the same end point. Without any of the stuff I didn't like.
I'm super curious then.
Because as I mentioned, I enjoyed parts of this movie.
Okay.
So I don't know what parameters you went with. So why don't you go first? That way, when listener gets bored, they can turn it off.
I think you should go first because I think yours is going to be more thorough and complete, and mine is still
germinating.
It's a lump of clay.
Okay.
I've written an idea on it, but it needs to be beaten and yanked.
Okay. Well, maybe if you question me and push me on mine, shape. And I push you on some stuff, maybe we can mold yours into something by the end of this.
There we go.
All right. So the way I did it was I did 4 key points. So I'll go through one by one. So number one, and I'm pretending like I got a studio mandate. I got some shit that's non-negotiable. You know, I'm not Orson Welles. I don't have the power to walk out. I'm a guy who directed like an indie movie, and then they hired me to direct Spider-Man No Way Home.
Right.
So I'm willing to toe the line.
Right. You're going to play ball.
That's right. I'm going to be the Russo brothers little bitch just because I want to get in on this shit. Make this film.
Yes, Mr. Feige, sir.
That's right. I do this so then I can make my little indie projects, my little love stories about ponies and shit. I do this so I can do that. You have a cricket in your garage.
I sure do.
Yes.
I was hoping that was you.
No, that's a listener right now listening to this podcast.
Lord.
Mandate number 1, all 3 Peters and Doctor Strange have to show up. So,
okay.
All 3 Peters and Doctor Strange have to show up, okay? So, I throw out how they did it in the movie. This is going to be
obnoxious.
Yes. So our Peter, Tom Peter, goes to Doctor Strange and asks him to do a spell, to reverse this big headache in Peter's life. And a responsible adult Avenger, of course, he says no, because that's what a responsible adult Avenger who has taken the Hippocratic Oath would do. He would say, no, I'm sorry your life is in shambles right now, but I'm not going to risk the entire universe is just because your feelings are hurt and your friends have, their lives became a little bit more difficult. So in my version, the spell is still cast, and the other two Peters are going to show up, but I'll explain that in a bit. But basically, they're all three going to still be there. Doctor Strange is still there, but my Doctor Strange is like, fuck no, I'm not doing this.
Okay, so how are you getting to the spell?
That's gonna be in part 4.
Oh,
of my things. It's gonna be when I got a whole plot breakdown. That's my long thing. But let me ask you before I move on. Is having the 3 Peters and Doctor Strange in this movie one of your problems with this movie?
Yes.
Is it more than just the obnoxious fan service?
Yes. I think with What If and Into the Spider-Verse, the premise of this film is terribly redundant. We don't need the multiverse setup. It distracts from the Spider-Man story that should be being told.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So, Mandate 2, I can only swap out one villain for another one. Okay, so this was actually tough because I think all the villains in this were terrible, but I'm going to play by my own rules, and I would swap out Electro for Michael Keaton's Vulture. For one thing, Electro doesn't fit the requirements of the movie. He doesn't know Peter Parker's identity, so that makes no sense. I understand the filmmakers probably wanted Jamie Foxx in the movie, and so, of course, they're going to have him if he wants to be in it. But if you're going by the storytelling rules of the movie that is set forth, Electro makes no sense, whereas Michael Keaton's Vulture already knows Peter is Spider-Man. He's known that from the jump, and he's just sitting there in prison.
Okay, so you would get him out of prison somehow, or
yeah, that's coming up in my.
Okay, it wouldn't be another
Vulture from another world. No. Like I said, I'm kind of sticking to a lot of what they did. So just Michael Keaton from the first home Spider-Man movie, Homecoming.
Right.
And then get rid of Electro. All right. So so a question for you then. If you had to bring in a villain from somewhere else and get rid of one of the 5 because there weren't 6, who would you get rid of right away? And was there someone that you wanted to see that wasn't in there?
Of existing villains, who doesn't want to see Topher Grace back as Venom?
Okay.
I mean,
who would you
couldn't get Topher Grace?
Who would you get out of that would even have been funny because you have Topher Grace being the lesser Venom, and then you still have the cutaway scene at the end with gorgeous Tom Hardy Venom. But who would you have eliminated from the Sinister 5?
Oh man.
Keep in mind,
I really hate the Lizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, you're going to get a second chance here in like 2 seconds, young man. Part 3 of my mandates, you can completely eliminate one character. Totally.
Right. Totally.
I eliminated the Sandman because he was pointless. He's already a kind of an ally, but also like, who gives a shit about Sandman? Like, to answer your previous thought, if you're going to bring someone in from that third Raimi Spider-Man movie, it should be Topher Grace, not Thomas Hayden Church, Academy Award winner Thomas Hayden Church. So there's a reason why I kept Lizard in here, and it's because Dr. Connor knows his identity. He fits the parameters of the movie, so that's why Lizard had to stay. But Lizard is the worst.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, bad movie villain for sure. They're all fuck. I don't mind Sandman. They get creative with him. Fan. He ends up, being probably the most powerful of the villains. But Electro is just awful, and so is Lizard. Electro in this movie is only a bad guy because he can be. As soon as he doesn't have powers, he's like, all right, I guess, fuck it, whatever. I'll just sit down.
Yeah, I mean, Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think it was essentially like Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman 2. Like a nerdy kind of whatever who got bullied too much and then became a villain as soon as they got powers. That's essentially what Electro did. And then again, in this movie, he's just handsome and jacked, and then no one even his appearance makes no sense.
I think that's the only Marvel movie I haven't seen is Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, I think that is the one with Electro, right? Electro and Lizard.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Right. Oh, it's fine. Oh, so then the emotional impact, spoiler alert, the emotional impact in No Way Home, these movies have terrible titles. The emotional impact of No Way Home when Andrew Garfield saves the beautiful Zendaya.
Oh, I get it.
You don't even get it because you didn't see it.
I just said I get it.
You don't get it.
I don't care. Just because I don't care doesn't mean I don't get it.
If you didn't have a little tear rolling out of the side of your eye, you didn't get it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments of No Way Home.
Get the fuck out.
It was adorable. Okay, so here we are. I'm going by the same parameters. The spell is going to be cast. People who know Peter is Spider-Man are going to come through. So that's why the Vulture. That's why the Vulture had to stay. Not the Vulture. That's why the Lizard had to stay.
Did he know? I had heard that he didn't know that Peter was Spider-Man. I
wikied it, and it seems like he knew.
Okay.
Dr. Connors knew. It seems like. I don't know. It's so hard to I'm telling you, doing this to wrap it around the key points of the plot, the movie that exists, was difficult because it makes no fucking sense. But again, it's just not for me. I feel like I don't want to badmouth anything. The movie's making $1 billion. I would, I would do things. I would happily color a Spider-Man comic. It is a dream book. I just saw today that. Or yesterday that John Romita Jr. is coming back, and they got a great colorist on him, and they're relaunching it. It looks fucking spectacular.
Cool.
Pun intended.
I'm a man on an island, apparently. Everybody else on the fucking planet loves this movie.
No, I don't love the movie. I'm going to tell you a better movie. At least in my mind. It wouldn't make as much money, but it has all the fan service you want. All right, so you open up the movie with the Vulture breaking out of prison because he saw on the news. The news plays a lot. A lot of my information dumps is through newscasts. But the Vulture sees on the news, J. Jonah Jameson, his reveal or whatever. So then the Vulture's going to break out of whatever prison he's in. Ravencroft, I don't know what they call it.
Stryker's Island?
Something. Because he's so mad. He wants to be the one that kills Peter. Like, he's been sitting there thinking, like, I'm going to get him when I get out. Because he thinks he's the only one who knows that Peter is Spider-Man. But now everyone knows Peter is Spider-Man. So he's just in a jealous, he's in a fit. Okay. Like, he wants his revenge. He's really, really mad. Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, is furious. So basically, like a Shawshank moment to open the movie, Adrian Toomes breaks out of the prison. All right. So then Peter, whatever. Have the first 20 minutes of this movie the way it was. Who gives a shit? Then Peter and Ned go to the Sanctum Sanctorum. And on the way there, Ned's talking. He's doing that shit where he talks about how his mom told him that he has magic in his family, just like in the regular movie. Same thing, right? His mom's telling him he's, they said that in the movie. That's why he could use the sling ring. right? Yes. So he's telling Peter this on the way to the Sanctum Sanctorum because he's so excited to meet, like he's just losing it to meet Doctor Strange, right? So anyways, they get there. Ned starts fucking around while Peter and Doctor Strange shoot the shit. And so Ned's fucking around with the sling ring that's just laying on the table, and it sparks, right? So then everyone in the audience at this point is going to be like, ooh, shit, you know? All right. And then so Peter and Doctor Strange are talking. And then Doctor Strange's like, fuck no, am I going to not do this for you? What a ridiculous... You should know better than this, kid. Like, sorry, put on your big boy pants. You made your bed. Time to lay in it. That kind of shit. And so in the middle of this conversation, though, he refers to this spell book. You know, like maybe Doctor Strange's flipping through it. And he's like, oh, the ramifications of this spell is terrible. So, you know, he slams the book shut. Anyways, Peter's dejected. He's being a little bitch. And him and Ned walk out. And then Ned reveals that he took the sling ring and the spell book. Right? Because they're kids and kids do dumb things. They're emotional. They're dumb. This movie is all about making bad decisions as a teenager. My version of it is bad decision making as a hormonal teenager. So basically, Ned thinks he can do it, right? Because his mom said he could do it, or his nana or whatever said he could do it. He's special. And he's got he's got the brass knuckles and he's got the book. So then they also think, like, what could go wrong? Like, it either works or it doesn't work. Like, what's the harm in trying, right? Stupid kids. So, of course, the spell goes wrong, and the same thing happens in my movie that happens in, what's his name? The guy that made
John Watts.
Same thing happens in John Watts' movie, right? Doc Ock, the Lizard, and Green Goblin come through using the same logic, the same rules. Okay, so everything's the same. So then Doc Ock still attacks Peter on the bridge. And as Peter's getting his ass kicked, then the Toby Peter shows up, and they work together to chase away Doc Ock. So that's where you introduce Toby, because obviously that's his Doc Ock. And so the Doc Ock is like, "What the fuck, 2 Spider-Mans?" and he gets out of there. So then Tom Peter, our Peter, is just trying to get his head wrapped around all this weird shit. When on the news they talk about a giant lizard is now attacking the former apartment of May Parker. Because Dr. Connor knows Peter has an aunt, so he's going there to find Peter, I guess, right?
Okay.
So then they race over there. The 2 Peters race over there, and then that's where the new Peter shows up. The second Peter, Andrew Peter. I lost my place in my notes because again, Andrew Peter sees his villain is attacking something. He goes there, just runs in. So that's how I would introduce the Peters, because it makes sense. If you just got zoomed into like a new world and the only person you recognize from your own planet is a villain attacking something, you're gonna put on your little tights and you're gonna go fight that villain, right? So
sure.
So basically, they show up, and then Doctor Strange shows up, because one of my problems with these movies is, if they're all in New York City and Doctor Strange has already been in the movie, why would he allow 3 Spider-Mans to have a public fight and just sit back in the Sanctum Sanctorum?
Right. Chilling, but that's why they had to get rid of him in the movie.
Right. So they put him in some Mirrorverse Snowland something or other. So basically, Doctor Strange shows up. The 4 of them now easily capture the lizard because he's the lizard. He's useless. So then, in my notes, I got confused. That's how I introduced the lizard, but it doesn't have to be May's apartment. It can just be something else. Who gives a shit? Maybe Peter's high school, whatever, because May shows up in the next scene. Because if you're going to have Green Goblin in the movie, he's going to have some screen time, right? So Norman Osborn shows up at May's work because he knows May Parker. In some universes, they've
scissored. Oh.
They've bumped uglies. In some universes, they've done the dirty. So he knows who May Parker is. He kidnaps May. So that's how you get that angle. So now we got our 3 Peters, our Doctor Strange. We know the stakes. We got to get these villains from these other worlds. Have a whole scene where Doctor Strange is like, "You dumb shit. You did the spell. You fucked it up." That kind of shit. So Doctor Strange tells him the only way to get it fixed is to get all the the loose pieces together in one place, and he can do a counter spell using like the magic box, like they have in the movie now. This nebulous magical box thing that
the red button.
Yes. So basically, Tom Peter, then goes to J. Jonah Jameson and tells him, I need to be on your show, because he has that big show now. So then he gets on the show and he challenges Doc Ock. Come to the park, take your whooping, that kind of thing, right? So then the three Peters show up at the park expecting Doc Ock. MJ and Ned are there because you have to have Zendaya there. And then Doctor Strange is there. Lizard is in some sort of like shackles or prison thing. I don't know. Probably some sort of force field around it,
Magic stuff.
Yeah, he's magically handcuffed. And so then Toby Peter tries to talk to Doc Ock, to reason with him. But spoiler alert, in my version of this movie, the villains are villains. They don't all have a magic button that turns them into good guys again. They're not just tragic figures. They're the Sinister Six. Well, they're part of they're going to be. It's not the sad, sappy six. It's not the, it's not the we didn't get hugged enough by our daddy's six. It's the Sinister Six. So there's no reasoning with Doc Ock. But while this is happening, the Green Goblin shows up, right? Starts just fucking throwing pumpkin bombs. You have a pumpkin bomb. You have a pumpkin bomb. You have a pumpkin bomb. So one of the pumpkin bombs frees the lizard. So now he's free again to wreak havoc. And then the goblin also kills May in this scene, just as a fuck you to Peter. So you still have that emotional moment where May dies. Young, beautiful May dies. Tom Holland, it's all my fault, which it is. Yes.
Is she going to say it? Are you going to have her say it?
It's all your fault, Peter.
Oh no, the other line they hear all the time.
What? Oh, with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah. I would probably figure out a way to have like all three of them say it at the same time. The two older Spider-Mans and May. Like she'll be like, with great power, and then she'll die, and then Toby will be like, comes great, and then Andrew Garfield will like walk in with his hair, and he'll be like, responsibility. That's how I would do it. But so Peter loses his shit. Obviously May's dead. Tom Peter loses his shit. The three villains, they just escape because they just pop in for shit, pop back out.
Bye.
And then later the three villains are holed up at like a warehouse or, some bad guy, whatever. Doesn't matter where it is. Planning their next move. And all of a sudden there's a knock on the door. And it's the Vulture, the Shocker, and the Scorpion. Because you need 6 to be the Sinister Six. So we needed 3 more. Okay. And I realize in what's his name? John, what's his name? Who made this movie?
John Watts. In
John Watts' movie, they're never referred to as the Sinister Six. But the Sinister Six has been hinted back. But I mean, this grouping has been hinted back as far back as I think Raimi's 3rd Spider-Man movie. Like they've been talking about is the Sinister Six. They're beating around the bush, so to speak. Sometimes you got to trim the bush away to get to the good stuff. And so, boom, you got your Sinister Six. And then they're like, all right, fuck it. Let's kill all these Peter Parkers, and then we can just run this shit, right? That's kind of how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can just have like the Vulture because he's a tech guy. Maybe he was at the park and he threw like a tracer on the goblin's glider or whatever. That's how he found them. So now you have your team up. It doesn't really matter how they team up, but you got to have 6 of them because that's their name. So Tom Peter is distraught, but then the Sinister Six attack the Sanctum Sanctorum because they want that magic box. They want the red. They don't want anyone being able to send them back home. They're loving this new shit, right? They got buddies now. Like they can have like fucking parties in their warehouse, the 6 of them. They got someone to share beers with and shit. They're not alone anymore. So they don't want to go back home. So the 3 Spider-Men then have to jump into battle. And then same thing kind of happens. Tom Peter almost kills Green Goblin, but he's a hero, so he's not going to kill him. But during the fight, one of the bad guys destroys Doctor Strange's magic box. And the ensuing explosion is what opens the fucking multiverse portals that they then have to shut down. So you still get your Doctor Strange sequel. You can leave if you want to reset the timeline to where no one knows who Peter is, you can do that shit in the Doctor Strange movie. Like, I don't, or you don't have to do it. Who gives a shit? If you cast handsome Tom Holland as your hero, you don't want him in a mask anyway, so might as well just make him fucking everybody know who he is. But basically, that's it. My movie is about Peter fucking everything up and the consequences that come with that. It should end on a bummer. This movie should be a bummer for Peter Parker. He makes all these wrong choices, and he's got to learn to deal with them, which is something kids today, it's a great lesson. You know, you think you fucked up, you ditched school and you feel bad, you think you fucked up, go watch No Way Home. Peter fucked up. Ned fucked up. They got their aunt killed. Their hot piece of ass aunt is dead because of a decision they made. With a magic brass knuckles.
Okay. How did May die? In your movie?
Same way. Green Goblin kills her.
Okay.
I do like the visual of Goblin Guider going through somebody. But I guess they already did that in Raimi's one, so maybe she just dies in a pumpkin bomb. Or she dies the same way Gwen Stacy dies. He throws her off and none of the Spider-Mans can get to her, and they snap her back. You know, whatever. I mean, I realize it's been done in the Andrew Garfield verse, but imagine how fucked up that Spider-Man would be if he tried to save May and she died the same way as Gwen. Tough.
Okay, so what's your ending?
The ending is the same thing. Doctor Strange thinks he corrals, like, you know, remember at the end of this one, all that shit happened, and he kind of like flexed his abs and did a thing, and they all closed. Same thing. So you're ending at the exact same place the real movie ended at.
Okay, but is everybody forgetting Peter in this version?
No. Everyone knows who Peter is, and they hate him even more. Right? Because he just continually made things worse. The correct thing to do would be to hire a PR firm and kind of rehabilitate your image. You know, not try to change the entire universe. Right.
Yeah.
So I like May died. So in John Watts' movie, May died. Peter did that, and then Peter loses MJ, and he loses Ned's friendship and all that. But that's really the only consequences he suffers, which I guess are great. I get that. But in my version, he's even more of a pariah at the end of it than he was at the beginning of it, because now he's blown up parks, and now there's more villains everywhere. They're blaming him for everything.
All right.
I don't know. I tried to get rid of a lot of my biggest issue. And again, not negative, because it's 2022, man. I'm done being negative on this podcast. Doctor Strange, and I'm saying something out loud I can't believe I'm even saying, because I don't give a shit. But Doctor Strange would never fucking do this. An adult would never make this decision. This whole movie is based on an adult making a terrible decision. And the movie should have been based on a child making a terrible decision.
Yes, I agree. And it's bad enough that he goes along with it, but essentially his boss is just like, okay, fine, do it. Just don't tell me about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
because plausible deniability matters at the end of the world.
Yeah, the Sorcerer Supreme. It's like Riker. It's like Riker's like, I'm going to do this really dumbass thing, and Picard's like, don't tell me about it, and then just exits the bridge. He goes into the holodeck. You know, like, I don't want to know about it. Like, when Doctor Strange 2 opens, there better be a new Sorcerer Supreme, because both of them should lose the title. You know, maybe whoever was like shoveling the snow in the Sanctum Sanctorum, that should be the new Sorcerer Supreme.
They're familiars.
Yeah, it should be like a cat that can become a person, but then so they can fuck it like a familiar, but it's also the Sorcerer Supreme. The cat just gets a cape when it's in cat form and flies around. It's like DC Super Pets, but Marvel style.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's what
Avengers.
But that's what a familiar is, right? A familiar is a changeling that the person also has sex with, right? Am I wrong in my knowledge of familiars?
I'm thinking of what they do in the shadows.
Oh.
And the familiar is just a human that does things for vampires during the day.
Oh, okay. Oh, so the shape shifting is not important. See, I'm using it in like a witch and wizard term where a lot of them their familiars are animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
I don't know that shit. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's your loss. All right. So, what all did you hate about this? So, do you just hate the premise of them coming over?
Yes. I thought the movie was dumb in like a literal sense, like it was stupid.
People made poor decisions.
It didn't respect its audience. And that's like one of the biggest issues I have with the Boba Fett series too.
It's fan service, but not not in aiding the storytelling.
Yeah, I thought the whole movie was unnecessary. The fan service idea gimmick hijacked the plot of the movie, which should have been knowing Peter is dangerous. And it didn't end up being that. It ended up being, oh, look, you remember this? You remember this?
Yeah, I saw, before we get into your kind of thoughts on where you would go with it, I just read a tweet that someone retweeted from some news site, which could be completely false or whatever, but it basically said like Doctor Strange 2, because it's the multiverse, is going to have like cameos out the ass.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So basically, it's going to be this times 100, because it doesn't have to be just Spider-Man people. We can have, maybe we'll get a Chris Evans Human Torch instead of Chris Evans Captain America, or we'll get a Jessica Alba. It'd be easy to have the Invisible Woman in the movie, right?
If they don't have Topher Grace movie or money, they certainly don't have Jessica Alba money.
Maybe Topher Grace was like, I want to distance myself from this character. I want to take on more serious roles.
He wanted a 3-picture deal.
Yeah. But anyways, so that's my thought, is I stuck to the basic tenets of the movie, which again, I agree with something you said last episode. The movie has to have a reason for existing other than just to make money and to do fan service. The story should have a reason for being told other than just dollar bills. And I guess the basic premise should be, how does Peter deal with, there were really not a lot of repercussions. I mean, I guess the whole movie was repercussions of how Peter dealt with that. But it wasn't, again, the Doctor Strange, the choices made at the beginning of the movie tainted the movie for me. I would have liked to have seen Peter I would have liked this to be a more introspective movie about.
Yeah. On Peter too, with the spell thing, there's a difference between making poor choices, because that's drama, is characters you like making bad choices. But in the scene where the spell is happening, not only is Doctor Strange being stupid and out of character, but Peter's not an idiot. But in that scene, he's just babbling on like fucking moron.
Yeah.
That's not him making a poor choice. That's him being dumb in that scene. He's not dumb.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. All right. So if we go off the premise that if the movie was to be made, it should have dealt with Peter dealing with being outed. Also,
right.
Sorry, one last interruption here. I think the I think the Marvel 5-year time jump really fucked up the MCU. Because a lot of this is that. A lot of this is like no one knows how to deal with that, so we're already moving on to other stuff. So there's a lot of like, let's just make an exciting movie and forget that the trauma that we've inflicted on these characters. The fact that like half the people died, but thank God Peter, his girlfriend, and his best friend, and Flash, everyone that's important, they all died and then came back at the same age. Like, wouldn't it be more interesting if Zendaya was 5 years older than him and in college and like had a fucking boyfriend and shit that he had to compete against, like an investment banker or something as a high school? You know, like there's a lot more interesting shit you could do if you lean into that poor choice of the 5-year jump.
Yeah, so it worked in the story it was introduced in. I think it makes new stories interesting. I think it really is more of a roadblock for continuing stories like Spider-Man or I don't know, the Ant-Man movies. I don't know what else is continuing. I guess everything else is kind of ended.
Yeah,
but it does complicate Spider-Man.
It's a weird universal trauma that I think we're supposed to just another thing, a decision that why have 5 years? Why couldn't the gap have been like 3 months? Like, why is it 5? I guess so that Captain America could be sad and shit. But like 5 years is a weird thing. You could have done a year and not have to address any of these big time jumps. I don't know. Whatever. That's dumb. Anyway,
I don't know. I can make arguments for it both ways.
All right. Well, I want to hear about your argument for what you would have gone with. You kind of look like you're part of the Tracksuit Mafia right now. I want to hear what you would have gone with for this movie.
Yeah. So I couldn't do any of that stuff. Like I couldn't.
You don't
do
like
it.
fun challenges. You don't like. Fun
challenges. I said, I would have Edgar Wrighted that shit, and I would have just been like, so long, folks. Good luck with your movie. The only rule, or whatever the fuck,
the rules.
The only guideline I gave myself is it needed to be a direct sequel to the other one. What was the other one? Home Alone?
Far From Home.
Far From Home.
Is the next one going to be Coming Home? And then they can play Mama, I'm Coming Home. They can play the Guns N' Roses song.
Home Sweet Home.
Yeah. You can relocate to Alabama. Okay, so direct sequel.
Right.
But I guess I don't. I guess I want to hear more because technically this is a direct sequel.
Okay.
I mean, they jumped off from the last movie, literally.
So, okay, yeah, this is, pardon me, extraordinarily raw. It either needs somebody smarter than me or somebody with more time than I have to appropriately massage this into something that would work. But also, it's not anything they would ever do. Disney is never going to put out a story like the one I'm going to propose to you because they're cowards.
Jesus, Scott. At some point we might want to do a run on Wolverine. When I say we, I mean I want you.
I don't know why that wouldn't be in the cards.
I don't know. Maybe they have a problem writing checks to someone who calls them cowards. Healthy challenge.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So just a direct sequel, in so much as Spider-Man's identity has now been revealed to the world. There are a lot of problems with the source of the reveal. One, it's clearly an edited video that has been released. 2, the source of the video is highly questionable. And 3, anybody with Google can look up Quentin Beck and be able to identify him as a piece of shit right off the bat. So and the idea that his identity being public is going to be a problem in any way doesn't play within the context of the MCU, where everybody else's identity is already public.
Right, but
there aren't crowds out front of the Sanctum Sanctorum all the time, or the Stark Tower.
Right, but the public believes Mysterio was a hero, and they think that Spider-Man killed him.
Yes. So what I'm going to do is I want to play on the similarity that the movie already did with the Daily Bugle being a thinly veiled
like Newsmax or something,
InfoWars analog, and Jameson being a giant source of disinformation regarding all things sort of Avengers and Avengers adjacent. So so him putting out this video of Spider-Man's a murderer, right? Because Mysterio is the greatest hero ever. It'd be like Stark, is like this a fascist billionaire that wants to have Iron Man suits all over the world. The New York invasion of 2012 was a false flag in order for him to be able to do that. The idolizing of like Steve Rogers as this like anti-government libertarian hero because he wouldn't sign the accords. Do that sort of stuff. So maybe over the course of like 6 months or something, all of this stuff is building and building and building. And so you have this like we have now, right?
This division, you create division.
Right. And it's all people drinking the Kool-Aid, and there's all this anti-superhero sentiment. And so that's where the danger would come from. So I'm not going to use Doctor Strange. I'm not going to have the other Peters. I'm not going to have any of the multiverse stuff. It's just going to be a wealthy, bored, right-wing, pro-gun, anti-government, pro-military, conspiracy nut defense contractor named Eric Craven is gonna take up is gonna take I don't know, justice into his own hands,
like the QAnon shaman, but a different different
so I needed to figure out.
That's good. I like that.
A way to have him be able to go toe-to-toe with Spider-Man, because Spider-Man punches a regular dude in the face, his fucking head's gonna explode.
Real quick, like your thought makes me what you're saying makes me think about like how much more interesting it would have been if like Peter wanted the world to forget that he was Spider-Man because his friends couldn't get into college and they were bothered by the media. But what if people were trying to, what if he was worried about the safety of MJ or the safety of May? And that's what it's going to be. That's what he was constantly obsessing about.
Yeah.
Not that they can't
when
get into
you become
school.
The target, the people around you become collateral damage.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. And then Craven has 4 or 5 targets. But he doesn't need to call out Spider-Man. He just goes after Ned or goes after MJ or goes after Flash or anybody else, You know, that could be a great storyline too. Flash flexing like he's one of Peter Parker's best friends. Well, then you get kidnapped by Kraven or killed by Kraven. You know, that'd be cool. Because this version of Flash sucks.
He would need more work, and I need more work to be able to get him involved to the point where he would think that murder is acceptable.
Who, Peter or Kraven?
Kraven.
Well, the thing with Kraven is just he gets more brainwashed. The more, because he would be getting more popular. Like, he'd be getting contracts, you know, whatever. Like, all these dudes that are now right-wing dudes in real life have made a lot of money in the last, 5 years being right-wing dudes. But also, you could have a little, like in Dark Knight Returns, you have all the Bat Kids and all the mutants. They follow these people and they support these people. You could have a bunch of militant right-wing assholes, support Kraven. So that's where the danger comes in. Like, Spider-Man doesn't have to just fight Kraven. He's got to fight 100 dudes walking around with Kraven baseball caps or Kraven shirts or something like that, you know,
Yeah, I thought about it being not just a single dude, but a group, a militia or something, or something shitty like the Oath Keepers or the Proud Boys or some garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you have the whole thing too, Peter understands, I just can't punch this dude through a wall. He's a guy from fucking somewhere in Wisconsin who just doesn't know any better. You know, he doesn't deserve to be thrown off a building.
Yeah, and then I thought, this is probably more work for me, so maybe I'll just keep it to one guy.
All right.
Okay, but how? How? How is this guy going to take a punch from Spider-Man? That was as good as Spider-Man 2 is. Every scene where he punches Doc Ock in the face, I'm just like, how? How did he not just crater his face in? Just because he's got metal arms doesn't mean he's got super strength all of a sudden, you know?
Yeah, so, I don't know. You could have Kraven juiced up on something.
Bane, okay. So there's been a lot of super soldier stuff. Bucky, they had the Falcon Winter Soldier plot revolved around that sort of thing. Civil War had the other super soldiers.
Yeah, you can even use the serum as I can't think of the word.
But I thought that
right-wing media, the serum.
Seeing as this guy's probably a giant piece of shit anyhow, maybe he's also he's probably a racist, but I guess that doesn't have anything to do with this. But
broad stroke.
But outside of the suit, Black Panther's deal was that they had the flower or whatever, right? Wasn't there some flower that they mixed up, or they had some plant that they had the essence of that gave them super speed and agility and that sort of stuff.
So maybe you get Kilgore.
Yeah, so he would, I think, maybe he could get his hands on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Something like that. I need him to be able
to go toe-to-toe
to be Spider-Man's equal, at least.
Right.
Physically.
Right.
So, yeah, that's what I would do. Then, I don't know. You still have to kill somebody. I guess May makes the most sense.
Well, you're not
if the movie's going to be about the people around him being in danger, you know, you have to go to the point where you feel like everybody around him is in danger, legitimately in danger. So if you kill somebody, then you worry for everybody else too.
Right. Also, what if Ned gets hurt and then he's so angry at Peter because Peter didn't help him that then Ned becomes like a villain in later movies? Right? Isn't that what happens in real comics?
Leeds, as Hobgoblin, right?
Yeah. So Peter loses his best friend loses his best friend and loses his aunt.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there could be an attack on Midtown if you want to do like the active shooter thing. Again,
No.
This is not a movie that they're ever going to make.
Well, they might have until that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
But basically, the struggle is people are getting hurt because of Peter.
Right.
Whether he did it on purpose or not. I mean, maybe your movie even has your version of this movie even has the added bonus of. So in my movie, he made a dumb decision. In your movie, he really didn't do anything wrong, but people are still getting hurt. Like
yes, so
him being Spider-Man is getting people hurt.
Right. So the choice at the end of the movie is still going to be him deciding that him being alone is better for everybody. But I want him to make that choice in the face of the people around him not making that choice. Like him saying to MJ, you shouldn't be with me, I think is a bigger emotional punch, and I don't even know what the word is, but it's also like bad decision making, because he's taking that decision out of her hands. She should be able to make the choice, what I'm going to do for my own safety. But for him to decide for her, I think, is an immature decision of a 16-year-old or whatever he is.
Yeah, you could even do. I don't know if this was done in any of the movies. It might have been in one of the Raimi movies where he's like, "I'm done being Spider-Man," and you have the classic shot of him walking away.
Yeah,
I think it might have been done in a Raimi movie, but
that was
do
in
it
2.
Yeah, so you could do that in this though too. You could end this movie with him hanging it up, and then obviously he's going to have to come back because he's handsome Tom Holland and it's Spider-Man. But yeah. See, you do this to me, Scott. You're a good storyteller. That's a good movie. I'd like to see that movie. Did you know that when Sony was trying to do their own Spider-Verse movies? I mean, they're doing it, Morbius, Venom, whatever.
Yeah.
Aaron Taylor Johnson has been cast he's been attached to be Kraven.
I had heard that.
In a Kraven movie.
Sure, whatever. Okay.
Kraven needs to look like my newly single homie, Jason Momoa. Kraven needs to be like fucking The Rock big, not Aaron Taylor Johnson big. Sorry, ATJ. Like, you're my boy.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Give me John Cena. He looks like one of those right-wing cracker wackos already.
If I don't go straight to bed after this, I might watch the first episode of Peacemaker. Just dropped. Yeah, I like your movie. It's a smaller movie. You don't get the fan service, but I guess I'm worried about this trend happening, right? Like, so when Ragnarok was praised because it was funny, I guess Guardians, then Ragnarok, then now all the movies are becoming, in my opinion, the focus is on the laughs, the audience reactions. It's not about storytelling anymore, which I think up until like, if you take Guardians out of it, it was a solid storytelling franchise through Endgame. There's a reason for the movies to exist, I guess, in my opinion. But then now it's like jokes after jokes after jokes. And now I'm worried with the success of this movie, it's going to be cameo after fan service. Like, again, maybe these movies aren't for us because they keep making money. I mean, they know what they're doing. If their job is to make money, they're doing the job. But yeah, I would like to see a series, like or a movie. I'd like to see the movie that you proposed.
I think you're right that. Yeah, I think they have exposed themselves to a new kind of storytelling model, and it has been met with huge rewards, and giant corporations don't just look the other way when that happens.
Yeah, like I've already heard that Willem Dafoe is like, oh, if I'm gonna come back, I want I want to know where the story is. Like he's like all of these dudes are willing to come back because the money's there, the shit's there. Like they're talking about. I read somewhere where they're talking about possibly an Amazing Spider-Man 3 now in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man verse because he was so popular in his fucking screen time in this movie, which I like it. I like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I really like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, actually. So I wouldn't be against that. But the fact that it just blows my fucking mind. As a kid who grew up reading comics, I couldn't get a fucking sniff outside of Electric Company. I couldn't get a sniff of Marvel's superheroes on screen. To now, oh, this movie wasn't popular enough to make an Amazing Spider-Man 3 7 years ago. So let's launch a whole new Spider-Man. And now that Spider-Man made that Spider-Man popular enough. Fuck, man, give me old man Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. All coked out and fucking drunk and shit. Because that's what he looks. I mean, his eyes, he's like, ooh, he looks like he's doing everything. But give me that Tobey Maguire. Give me the last Spider-Man starring Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, sure. It's interesting. I think I had heard that Marvel had a deal with Sony for 3 solo pictures or whatever. So it makes sense at the end of this that nobody remembers who he is. So it can continue or it cannot. It can be done. So it seems like they made this with that sort of cliffhanger in mind. The legal cliffhanger is, are we going to be able to do more of these or not? If not, we got to put it in a place that we can just sort of set it down and walk away. And having Toby and Andrew Garfield in here and having them be so sort of celebrated, especially Andrew Garfield, feels like Marvel just giving 2 big middle fingers to Sony saying, yeah, we took your guys, we took your characters from your movies and made them work in a way that everybody loves. We did what you couldn't do.
Right.
Now you're going to give us Spider-Man back because obviously we do it better.
Or the reverse of that is we're just going to make another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie without Marvel's input.
Yeah, they could go do that. It's going to be terrible because it's Sony.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I read somewhere that Tom Holland, and all of this is based on Tom Holland. I mean, this guy is going to blow up. I think people forget that he's like 24. Like this kid is
walking was huge.
If this kid wants to do another Spider-Man movie, they're doing it, right? And it should only make sense that he's in the Doctor Strange movie. Maybe he is. Maybe they already filmed it, whatever. But it all hinges on him. If he wants to do more Spider-Man movies, there's going to be more Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, I don't know. You had mentioned the fan service stuff, and it seems inevitable that the Doctor Strange movie is just going to be that. The last handful, probably all of Phase 4 has been big swings and misses for me with the MCU, and for me, through my eyeballs, it feels like there's been a huge sea change where Marvel is just kind of sold out to the lowest common denominator thing, and DC's over here being like, yeah, Matt Reeves, you want to make a Batman movie with Robert Pattinson and all of the fucking villains and not have it connect to anything? Sure, fine, whatever. And it looks amazing.
I do love that. I love that storytelling style. Just, I have a story I want to tell. It features a young Batman. Okay.
I think that's Batman. The way they have to go, because nobody... you may be able to do a connected universe, but nobody's able or going to be able to replicate it to that extent with that much success. So you go the opposite way, where, you know, they bring on these directors, Edgar Wright, and I'm sure there was somebody else, some other named director that walked away from a project because they were like, they're not going to let me do what I want to do.
Yeah, I saw. Obviously, all these are just shit I see on Twitter, because that's how I see all my news. But they're already saying that I don't think it was Edward Norton. I think it's the Eric Bana Hulk might be in Doctor Strange too. But what if? I hope that didn't get picked up on the mic. But what if?
I can't wait to go see it and have the 8-year-old next to me clap when Eric Bana comes on screen.
But what if Marvel has the balls?
It's Nick Nolte.
What if they have the balls? Don't get me wrong, Marvel has balls, because Marvel's great. I love the X-Men. What Disney if Marvel doesn't? What if Marvel and Disney had the balls to use the Multiverse of Madness to reset the MCU? Reboot it the way they would in comics. Just start over.
That's what this movie was, right?
Start over.
Every YouTube video and every podcast I've listened to, everybody just says how much they love the ending of this movie. Where it resets Peter Parker. We finally got to Spider-Man. You know, it's like these 3 movies have been Spider-Man's origin story, and now we have actual Spider-Man. Get the fuck out. Who wants that? They've done that. We've had that. There were 2 movie series before that had did that. You have that Spider-Man in all of the fucking comics. I didn't need any of that. I liked him being Tony's apprentice. I liked the spider tech. I didn't care about him, you know, not having some fucking part-time job or something, or working for a newspaper, or, you know, having to pay bills. I didn't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. So are we supposed to also understand that nobody in the MCU, like none of the Avengers and shit, know that he's Spider-Man? They just now think Spider-Man is just some dude they don't know? Right? So where is
this is where a narrative tips over from not for me to objectively bad.
Right.
When it has story elements that take me out of the story. There's a difference between posing a question to dangle a mystery, and there's a difference between that and just not giving the audience enough information for a plot to make sense. So they're not sitting there just obsessing over the why or how is this happening.
So for Happy Hogan, if he doesn't know Peter is Spider-Man, is he going to remember Hump and May, and then there'll just be blackout memories to where Peter wasn't walking through the kitchen, or like
this movie has plot Grand Canyons.
Yes. All right. So one thing I thought about early on, it's coming back up because Pepper Potts. So at the beginning of a third Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, it should have been like you said. Who knows the truth of that video? Where's the investigation? Where's the legal process? You know, you could still have Matt Murdock in this movie, which I love the cameo of Matt Murdock. I talked about that. I don't want to hear. Just let me go.
No, it's fine. I didn't include him because I figured Pepper and Stark Industries would be footing the bill on any legal representation, and he's pro bono.
Exactly. Pepper. The beginning of a third Spider-Man movie should have been Pepper Potts making one phone call to J. Jonah Jameson's cell phone and being like, "I'm going to crush you under legal fees for the rest of your life if you don't redact this story. Like, we are going to bury you and your entire network because we are rich as shit, and we also have like iron suits that could just blow the shit out of your city. Like, we have all this stuff. Like, you're nothing. You're like the fact that he went to Doctor Strange to cast a spell instead of going to Pepper Potts, who's essentially his pseudo stepmom at this point, right? Like, instead of going to Pepper Potts and being like, "Hey, can you do something about this?" It would have been done. It would have been scrubbed from the internet. It would have been like, this would have been a story that, as we all know in current news cycles, it would have been over within like a week. It had been dealt with by a proper legal team, one of which is a blind acrobat who can box.
Yeah, you could introduce Jen Walters here. You know?
No, she has her own show coming up.
Well, I said introduce.
It's also going to feature a blind lawyer, acrobat, boxer. My man. Yeah, I enjoyed the 45 seconds Matt Murdock was on screen in this movie so much. I think I want to rewatch the Netflix Daredevil shows. But I might skip season 1. I want to see his ass in the suit. I don't need to see bullshit bandana face thing.
Yeah, I got to thinking too that, okay, so he was in this movie. Kingpin showed up in Hawkeye. Maybe just lean in to the idea that the Netflix universe is part of this, has always been. And so then I got to thinking, oh, that means the Punisher is in this world. And then I got to thinking about all the stupid fucking car decals of the Punisher with the American flag and thinking, oh, Kraven, obviously, the Punisher would be one of his heroes, even though the Punisher would shoot this guy in the face.
Yes. When you were talking about Kraven, in my head, I was thinking of, you got to find a Kraven logo that looks like the Punisher logo. That at some point you have a cameo, one that makes sense. You have a fan service cameo where John Bernthal shows up and's like, maybe to one of Kraven's lackeys, and he's like, "Take that patch off."
No, it's a stylized lion face with the distressed American flag over the top of it.
That reminds me of something I got to tell you, but that's going to be off the air. Yes, your movie is better than mine, but I did follow rules that I set for myself, and I think I made a blockbuster movie. You made an art film. I made a blockbuster film. I got all the fan service without any of the bullshit. And again, 99% of my issues with Spider-Man No Way Home, besides the name, for the love of God, do not make... If there's another Tom Holland one, it better not be Coming Home or...
Homeland.
Homies don't play that. It can't have... Let's just start over. I hate the Home trilogy. I hate it. It should have just been called Spectacular. We've had Spider-Man movies. We've had Amazing Spider-Man movies. This should have been the Spectacular Spider-Man trilogy. Anyways, 99% of my problems revolve around the fact that Doctor Strange, just a grown man with a doctorate who is in charge of what is it, 14 billion? He saw 14 billion realities.
Yeah.
Right?
That's yeah. I think we talked about this on the other show. That's the Holdo maneuver.
Yeah. The dude who saw that was in a parka in his own home.
Why can't we just do that every time?
Decided this is not a bad idea. Because the guy has seen 14 billion bad ideas.
Yeah, the guy that was adamant he would sacrifice Iron Man and Spider-Man in the pursuit of keeping the Time Stone from Thanos.
Yes.
Oh, what? This high schooler is asking me to change reality? Yeah, fuck, whatever.
Yeah. one of the credit scenes should have been Pepper Potts showing up and being like, "Are you fucking kidding me? My husband's dead. My baby's daddy's dead. But you went ahead and changed reality."
Maybe she dies. Maybe she dies in my movie instead of May. He's got now because she's involved with Peter. Maybe he's staying at a Stark property or something, or
is it just
him and May have been transferred to some Avengers compound and they're living there now or something?
Is it because you want to see more of Marissa Tomei in the Spider-Man movies?
I don't know. I think it's as long as it's somebody the audience cares about is sacrificed. And what the fuck else does Gwyneth Paltrow have to contribute?
Well, then their little daughter becomes an orphan.
That's sad.
And
maybe she dies too.
And on that, we should end our Spider-Man discussion because that is sad. Becoming an orphan is sad, especially when you're the heiress to $1 billion fortune. It's very sad.
Until you turn 18.
Morgan Stark. Well, no, there's a trust involved. I'm sure the robot, I'm sure the robots are in charge until she's 18, but she's still worth billions of dollars.
Oh, there's a Disney Plus show.
Robot Nanny.
My Robot Dad.
She turns 16 and she wants to go out on a date with a boy. She goes into the garage, take one of those lots of cars Tony has, and then Robot Dad is like, but it's just the one arm because it's the same Robot Dad from this fucking movie that's in the kitchen. It's in Happy's condo. That's the Robot Dad. It's like, I can build you anything except good morals. Wrap it up, young lady. Wrap it up.
Except common sense.
That's right. I like your movie. You would have introduced Craven. Good movie. Not as good as mine because mine makes $1 billion still. That's the thing. That is what I wanted to prove with my little 4-point fucking rule set I gave up. My movie would still have made as much money as this movie made.
Mm-hmm.
Your movie would not have, but it would still been a good movie. Your movie would have been a better movie. My movie would be equally as money making without Doctor Strange being a douchebag. I'm glad I kept it positive this show, and I didn't fucking badmouth anything. It's important to me. It's important to me to one day color a Wolverine miniseries.
Next week we'll talk about Boba Fett.
It's gonna be a lot of talking because I don't know if I'm ever gonna watch it. Once I saw colored hover scooters that look like shitty 60s modded scooters.
It's even worse than you think.
I saw a still of it on Twitter and I thought to myself, this cannot fucking be possible. Like, there's no way this shit is actually happening. But it was a real thing. I couldn't fucking believe it. So yeah, we'll wrap it up. I'm done. Scott's trying to calm a dog. I figured out what it is that's triggering me with Scott's look. It's the green light. It's the cowboy hat. Have you ever seen Prometheus?
I've seen Prometheus.
So Danny McBride in Prometheus, when he's piloting the ship, has this cowboy hat mounted behind him, and it's green tint. You look like This is Danny McBride in Prometheus cosplay you're doing.
That's Alien Covenant.
Fuck.
But I get your point. That I have not seen that movie.
That is Alien Covenant. Yes.
Yeah.
He has a Stetson and he pilots the ship and there's a green light everywhere.
I suspect that might be the only watchable Danny McBride.
Dude, first two seasons of Eastbound and Down are untouchable. Untouchable.
I have seen Eastbound and Down. Yeah. Yes. I think the first half of the series, remembering this is pretty good, and then it wore out its welcome.
Yeah, until he went to Mexico on a A-ball contract, that's when it started to falter. But prior to that, It was perfect. Speaking of perfect, do we have to rate Makers? Like I've never really gotten into Makers, but I got 2 bottles for Christmas. I got a Makers 46 for my in-laws. I got a little Makers original for my brother-in-law, for my actual brother who lives like 10 feet away. I never got into Makers so much. It is fucking heaven. It's heaven.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm gonna give it 4.5. What is in your shelf that is better than Makers that you can recommend for about the same price?
Oh, 101's better.
Oh, not straight, not on the rocks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, 101's a little tough.
Oh.
I had it in my Coke Zero the other night, and it's a good mixer, and I've done shots of it, but just on the rocks, this is smoother than 101.
Yeah, Makers is fine.
Yeah.
It's probably not my top 5.
Well, did you go buy a tiny bottle because I had one, or did you just have one around? Are you stalking me on social media and buying what I got
this for Christmas.
Oh, well, I got it for my birthday. Cheers, buddy. Clink.
Clink.
Yeah. I'll give it a good 4.5. I normally can't just drink straight bourbon and not wince. I was wincing tonight because it didn't have any rocks. But today I was sipping it with a little melted ice in it. No wince. No face contractions.
Yeah, it's
good
nice.
Old-fashioned drinking.
It's nice.
It's nice. I like seeing you with an artboard behind you, cowboy hat. It's growing on me. I still don't love it. But it's good to talk to you. First show of 2022.
Oh, my God, 2022. Yeah.
Next year might have to be our resolution show that we never follow up on. So we just say it, and then we never call back to it. It's a tradition. Any final thoughts? Anything we didn't get to? Would you have any other notes that is in your bright monitor next to you that you didn't cover?
Oh, that Craven would definitely be a snap survivor and wouldn't disagree with Thanos. I don't know that he would go so far as to say Thanos was right, but I don't think he would say he was wrong either.
I'm as liberal as you can get. I don't think Thanos was really that wrong.
Interesting.
Hey man. Look, my face is as round as it can possibly be.
And to think I've been the one pushing child murder this entire show.
I was just I can't say that on air either. Talk about all right. We should just wrap it up. Like all teenagers should do. Wrap it up.
Just be quiet.
You don't want to bring a kid in this world. They're banning books, overturning elections. We're on a slippery slope to doom.
On the downside.
You don't want to bring a child into this world until you can move to another country to raise it. Now I'm sounding like a craven. All right, man. Let's finish this. Let's finish this off. Close out this first show of 2022 for us.
Yep. Oh, me.
It's what you've done for 230 something episodes.
Please don't go see No Way Home again. It doesn't need any more money.